Good evening, everyone, and welcome to week number 7. It's year number 11 of the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge. We have reached the wild card, the playoffs, part of our competition. We have 3 teams right here in studio ready to roll and move on to the Super Bowl eventually here in week number 9. I'm Bob Pompeani, and thanks for joining us tonight. We have 3 teams here looking to move on. They all have had very, very good scores in the first round. Here they are, left to right on your television screen. We have Punxsutawney Palamalu back, and they're veterans of this competition. Also in the middle, it's the Bears. They moved on with an impressive score, as did Hungry Hampton. So we'll be looking for, obviously, the winner of this show to move on. Plus, this week and next week, the team with the next highest score will be part of the championship as well. We begin with our opening drive segment. That means each team, we put up 100 points, and we go from here. Each of these questions is worth 20 points apiece, so you can play at home. Test your trivia knowledge with us here tonight. And here you go. First question in our opening drive. How many AFC wildcard games have the Steelers played in? The Beards first stirring it up.
8.
8 is the correct answer. What is the Steeler record in those 4 games? Punxsutawney Palamalu.
4-4.
4-4 is right. You also up to 120 points. Who was the last opponent the Steelers played in a wild card playoffs? The last opponent, Hungry Hampton.
Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, indeed. So all of you are off to a good start at 120. The Steelers' first wild card win came against what Texas team in 1989? Punxsutawney Palamalu. Houston Oilers is right. Who did the Steelers defeat in the 2005 wild card playoffs? Hungry Hampton. Cincinnati en route to Super Bowl 40, yes indeed. Who started for the Steelers at quarterback in the 1996 blowout win? Punxsutawney Palamalu.
Mike Tomczak.
42-14, I think that score was, against Indianapolis that day. The Steelers have played in 8 AFC wildcard games since '82. What is their record in those games? Hungry Hampton.
4-4.
Yeah, we tricked you. We had one of the same questions earlier, but you were paying attention. This former NFC West head coach was the starting quarterback for the Colts in that matchup. Hungry Hampton.
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh is exactly right. The Steelers' last home wild card playoff win came in 2002. Hungry Hampton.
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns is right. They were the opponent that year. Last question for you in this round. Who was the opposing quarterback in the 2011 wild card loss at Mile High? The Bears.
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow is correct. So you get 20 more to your total. So Hungry Hampton's up to a good start at 200. 40 over Punxsutawney Palamalu, and then the Bears at 140, which brings us to our next segment, which is called the Stat Pack. But before we do, we're going to welcome back Punxsutawney Palamalu. Only 2 players in this group here, unless you count the groundhog. He is inspiration, I know, to your group. So any different strategy this time? You guys have been here enough.
I said we have strategy.
Yeah,
we
strategy.
just, strategy. We just wing it like everybody else. We just come in off the street and say we're here, we're gonna do what we can, but like I say, folks, we have counselors in place, so you just can't take any more of us. So
I think actually you've had a cult following of people now who look to you on television. They say that's that Punxsutawney Palamalu guy. All right. You guys will begin our stat pack. These questions all just for your team are valued at 20 points each. You get 6 questions, no buzzers, all 6 for you. And the category will be passing performances, okay? Playoff passing performances. The Steelers quarterback threw for a team postseason record, 367 yards, 2002 wildcard game against Cleveland. Who was he?
Tommy Maddox.
Tommy Maddox is right. True or false? Ben Roethlisberger's 31 completions against Baltimore in the 2014 wildcard game were the most in Steeler postseason history. True or false?
True.
No, false. Neil O'Donnell had 32 in 1995 against San Diego. Who was the last quarterback not named Roethlisberger to start and win a wildcard playoff game for the Steelers?
Tommy Maddox?
Tommy Maddox is correct, and you're up to 200 points. True or false again? Neil O'Donnell's 3 touchdown passes in the 1993 wild-card playoff game at Kansas City is a postseason record. True or false?
He wants true.
No, it's false. Bradshaw had 4 of them in 1979. How many touchdowns did Roethlisberger throw on January 8th, 2006 at Cincinnati? How many touchdown passes?
3.
The answer is 3. You're correct. And one more for you, true or false again. Roethlisberger has thrown for at least 300 yards in each of his 4 wild card playoff appearances. True or false?
False.
False is correct. So Punxsutawney Palamalu jumps over Hungry Hamptons. You got 240 points. Well done. And now let's welcome back the Beards in dedication of Brett Key. So we asked Brett to come on down, but he said his beard is not in game shape, so he couldn't compete with yours. You excited to be here this time?
Of course,
Time,
absolutely. Yeah.
And any strategy? I asked the Punxsutawney guru about that.
No.
No?
Try to answer as quick as possible. It's a
How
tough crowd.
much training did you put into this? Did you do a lot of studying?
A
Couple long hours.
couple long hours, long nights.
Study sessions.
Yeah. You
couple
never know
study
too,
sessions.
which way we're going to go with these. So.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, we're going to find out what you know about receiving performances. Receiving performances in your stat pack. Again, all 6 questions for the Bears as they try to up their total from 140 to possibly 260. And here you go. First question for you. What receiver had 135 yards receiving in the 2007 AFC wildcard game against Jacksonville? ...135 receiving yards, 2007 against the Jags.
Santonio Holmes.
That was Hines Ward who had that number. True or false? Ward's 135 yards are a Steelers single-season postseason record. I'm sorry, single-game postseason record.
False.
It is false. Lynn Swann had 161 in 1976. How many yards did Antonio Brown have in the 2014 wildcard game against Baltimore? How many yards did he have?
123.
No, 117. Close, but no cigar. Who caught the Steelers' only receiving touchdown pass in the 2014 wild card game? He caught the only touchdown pass in that game. Who was he?
Antonio Brown.
No, Martavis Bryant was the only one to have it. True or false now for the Beards? No Steeler has ever caught multiple touchdowns in a wild card game. True or false? No Steeler has ever caught multiple touchdowns in a wild card game.
False.
No, it's true. Last question for you. Who led the Steelers with 104 yards and 1 touchdown in the 2005 AFC wildcard game at Cincinnati?
Plaxico Burress.
That would be a good guess, but it's Cedric Wilson. He had a nice playoff run. Did you mention his name over there? I thought I heard somebody say
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, sorry, you're up to 160. Still have time here. We have a lot more questions on the way. But we go over to Hungry Hamptons, who had a good first segment, up to 200 points now. Gentlemen, tell us about your experience here now. And do you have any different kind of strategy compared to these guys who just wing it?
We study 6 days a week. Give them off Sundays. Then spend time with their wives, but 18-hour days, you know.
Wow. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. We'll see if it pays off. So far, it has for 200, and your presence here tells you that it has. All right, your stat pack's dealing with rushing performances. We've had passing, receiving, and now yours is rushing. First question for you. This quarterback-running back duo produced 2 touchdowns each in the 1996 AFC wildcard game against Indianapolis. I mean, the quarterback and the running back tandem.
Stewart and Bettis.
That's correct. Cordell Stewart and Jerome Bettis. True or false? Bettis' 102 rushing yards were the most in his postseason career.
True.
No, it's false. As high as 105. Another true or false for you. The 100-yard rushing performance was the first of Bettis' postseason career. That game we just talked about. The first. True or false?
True.
That is true. This Steeler running back had 100 yards rushing and a touchdown in the 1989 wildcard game against Houston. 100 yards and a touchdown.
Merrill Hodge.
Merrill Hodge is correct, yes. And Hodge's 49-yard run against Houston is one of the longest runs from scrimmage in team postseason history. Where does it rank? And your hint is it's in the top 3. Third is correct. That's where it is all time. Finally, what running back had 121 yards rushing in the 2011 wildcard game at Denver?
Mendenhall?
No, it was Isaac Redmond. He had it going that day. But you're at 280, which is 40 more than Punxsutawney Palomalu. De Beers at 160. We're just heating up. Looking for a playoff advancer here and potentially a wild card total that will put one of these two teams who don't win into the championship. We'll come back with more. You're watching Week 7 of the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge. We continue with our first playoff round of the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge. And right now, it's a pretty tight competition with Hungry Hamptons by 40 over Punxsutawney Palomalu. Third, it's De Beers at 160. All right, guys, now you got to get your buzzers back because we enter the quick snaps portion. These are 10 questions. Wild card game will be the theme once again. So here you go. Buzzer first gets the first opportunity. What Steelers head coach owns a 3-1 all-time record? Hungry Hamptons.
Bill Cowher?
Bill Cowher in wild card game, Jess is 3-1. Against whom did Cowher record his first? Punxsutawney Palomalu.
Cincinnati?
No, it was the Indianapolis Colts in that 1996 playoff run. Who was Cowher's starting quarterback against the Colts in that game? De Beers.
Mike Tomczak.
Mike Tomczak is the correct answer, so you're up to 170 points. Next, who was the only team that Cowher lost to in a wild card game? The only team he lost to. De Beers?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, that was Joe Montana's Kansas City Chief team. You're up to 180. What seed were the Steelers in the 2005 playoffs? Punxsutawney Palomalu. 6 seed, yes. Who did the Steelers beat in the 2005? Hungry Hamptons. Cincinnati is right. In the 2002 AFC wildcard game against Cleveland, 2 Steeler receivers eclipsed the 100-yard mark. Who are they? Punxsutawney Palomalu.
Plexico and Hines.
Those are the 2 that did it, yes, in a wild card game for sure. You're up to 250 points. That is 50 off the lead. True or false, Jerome Bettis led the Steelers with 73 yards on the ground against Cleveland in 2002. De Beers. True or false? No, it was Amos Zaraway. He had 73 that day. Also, true or false, in the 1996 wild card game against Indy, Mike Tomczak was the only quarterback. De Beers, I'm sorry.
False.
False. Yeah, the question was Mike Tomczak was the only quarterback to attempt a throw for the Steelers, and the answer correctly is false there. The other quarterback completed his one and only pass. De Beers.
Mark Brunner.
No, Cordell Stewart is the right answer. I think I heard it also over there. So, after that competition there, we have Hungry Hampton still on top with 300, followed by Punxsutawney Palomalu at 250. De Beers in third, but they still have opportunity to check up and move up because we have extra value points on the way with the McDonald's Extra Value Round. That's coming up next. All right, we're back with more here in the playoff rounds of the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge. Bob Pompeani here. We have 3 teams putting up some good numbers. Right now, the current leader is Hungry Hamptons. And now it's a time for guys like De Beers or Punxsutawney to move up quickly. We have our McDonald's Extra Value Round. Each of these teams will get 8 questions. They're all worth 20 points. You don't have to buzz in. You don't lose anything if you have a wrong answer. And if you run the table, get them all right, 25 extra value points. So we begin with Punxsutawney Palomalu, and you're dealing with, again, wild card is the theme. Who did the Steelers play in the 89 wild card game?
Houston.
Houston Oilers is correct. Next question for you. Where was that game played?
Astrodome.
Astrodome is right. Who were the 2 coaches in the game?
Nolan Glanville.
That's right. And they had a little exchange at the end
Didn't care
of
much
that
for
game.
each other.
So you're 3 for 3. This player forced an Oilers fumble in overtime that set up the game-winning field goal. He forced a fumble.
Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson is right. You're 4 for 4. Who did Woodson level to force that fumble? Who did he hit? Who fumbled?
Lorenzo White.
Lorenzo White. You're digging deep for that one. Yeah, you're up to 350 and 5 for 5. What Steeler running back had a 100-yard rushing effort in that game?
Merrill Hodge.
Merrill Hodge, you're now 6 for 6, 2 away from extra value points. Who was the Houston Oilers quarterback that day?
Let's try Warren Moon.
Warren Moon is correct. All right, that's 7 for 7. And what was the final score of that wild card game? And if you get it, you get extra value points at 25 more.
26-23.
26-23 was the final score. You're absolutely right. 8 for 8. We add some extra value. Punxsutawney Palomalo getting the respect of their competitors here as they take a deep breath. 435 points. That's a nice move. So, De Beers, we'll see if you can do it. I know you got your hard hat on. That means it's time to go to work, and you need to go to work here. Again, wild card theme for your questions. And here it is. First one for you. What key player sat out the 2014 Steelers-Ravens wild card game?
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell is correct. Who are the broadcasters of that game?
Chris Collinsworth.
And Al Michaels.
And Al Michaels, that's right. You got it. Took a while, but you got it. That hard hat paid off right there. You're 2 for 2. How many turnovers did the Ravens force on the Steelers that day?
4.
3 is the correct answer. Who scored the Ravens' first touchdown of that wild card game?
Is it Joe Flacco?
Would have been a good guess. It was Bernard Pierce, actually, who got in the end zone first. Who did Joe Flacco connect with early in the second half for a touchdown pass?
Steve Smith.
No, Torrey Smith. Who forced the fumble early in the fourth quarter that led to a Steelers touchdown? He forced the fumble.
Lawrence Timmons.
Stephon Tuitt was the man who had it. Who did Big Ben connect with on the touchdown pass after that fumble recovery? The touchdown pass. Ben to?
Martavis Bryant.
Martavis Bryant is the one, so you're up to 230. And what was the final score of the game that day?
So 31-25.
30 to 17. 230 points now. That puts you still in third place, but you still have work to do in the next couple of rounds. And now it's time for Hungry Hamptons. They're in with 300 points, an opportunity to run the table, add some extra value to their total. 8 questions, wild card theme. First question for you guys. Who did the Steelers play in the 2005 wild card game?
Cincinnati Bengals.
Where was that game played?
Paul Brown Stadium.
You're right, in Cincinnati. Who tackled Carson Palmer, knocking him out of the game that day?
Kimo von Hohenhofen.
Kimo von Oelhoffen was the man. How many points did the Bengals score in the second half of that game?
3.
Zip. No points. I heard it in there. The Steelers were a number 6 seed. What seed was Cincinnati in that game?
3.
3 seed is correct. Who scored the Steelers' first touchdown of the game? Very first score.
Parker.
Oh, Antoine Randall L. Little razzle-dazzle there. You're still at 380. Who intercepted a John Kitna pass late in the game, leading to a Jeff Reed field goal? And he's the interceptor of that pass by John Kitna.
Palomalo.
No, it was James Ferrier, the linebacker, back in coverage, who had that one. And your final question, what was the final score of that game that day in Cincinnati?
34-17.
Almost. 31-17 was the final score. So, after the extra value round, it was Punxsutawney Palomalo moving up, taking advantage. They ran the table. 435 points. Hungry Hampton's still very much involved at 380. And then the Bears got a lot of work to do coming up. We have our no huddle segment looking to have a winner move on to the championship. We'll find out who that is next right here on the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge on KDKA. All right, welcome back, everyone. Bob Pompeani here in the studio. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of this week number 7 competition. And right now, Punxsutawney Palomalo has a 55-point advantage over Hungry Hamptons. All right, gentlemen, this is our final segment. It's called the No Huddle Offense. And each of these questions is worth 20. So you're 55 behind Hungry Hamptons. You have a chance to move up. Strategy comes into play. De Beers got a lot of work to do here. So see if you can pull it out at the last minute. Again, wild card theme. Here's your first question. Buzzers ready. Who did the Steelers play in the 2011 Hungry Hamptons?
Broncos.
Yes, indeed. Who threw the overtime touchdown pass that knocked the Steelers out? Punxsutawney Palomalo.
Tim
Tebow. 10 completions for like 16,000 yards that day, you remember. Who did the Steelers play in the 2010 divisional playoffs? Hungry Hamptons.
Ravens.
The Ravens is correct. You're up to 420, 35 off the lead. The 1975 playoff game against the Colts featured what may be the longest. The Beards.
Oh, the longest timed fumble recovery for a touchdown, Andy Russell.
Andy Russell came to you. Yeah, exactly. That was the rest of the question. Longest time-wise, anyway, fumble return in history. It was Andy Russell who picked it up. Next question, including Super Bowls, what is Mike Tomlin's record in the playoffs? The Beards.
5-4.
5-4 is right, and you're up to 270 points. Who did the Steelers play in their first ever wild card game? Hungry Hamptons.
Chargers.
San Diego is it, yes. How many division championships have the Steelers won? Hungry Hamptons.
21.
21 is correct, and now you take the lead by 5 points over Punxsutawney Palomalo. How many different Steelers have returned a kickoff for a touchdown in the postseason? Returned a kickoff for a touchdown, Punxsutawney Palomalo.
None.
None is correct, so you jump back on top at 475 to 460. Counting Super Bowls, how many playoff games has Ben Roethlisberger played in? The Beards.
15.
15 is correct. You're up to 290. What is Ben's record in those 15 games? Punxsutawney Palomalo, and this will determine who wins.
10-5.
10 wins. 5 losses is correct. And on the last question of the night, Punxsutawney Palomalo, representing Phil in the groundhog community. They come away with a 35-point win. If they had missed that question, you guys would have won 495, 460. The Beards in third at 290. So, Punxsutawney Palomalo, you're moving on. Hungry Hamptons, potentially you could be there based on your 460-point total. So we may see you again. That's going to do it. What a great competition that was. Next week is week 8, another playoff round as we look to crown a trivia champion right here on KDKA, the McDonald's Steelers Trivia Challenge. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.